Good morning to all my dear students. Welcome to the Industrial Pharmacy First. So, dear students, we are on to the pre-formulation, and in pre-formulation, we are studying the chemical properties. Now, in case of chemical properties, we had already begun with the hydrolysis. Today, we have to see that what are the different factors they will affect the process of hydrolysis. Now, if we'll have a just look over onto these factors, these are solution pH, buffer, ionic strength, the use of non-aqueous solvents, presence of co-solvents, presence of complexing agents, presence of surfactant, temperature, and humidity. This is the point with which we had left our last lecture. Now, in continuation to that, today we will see some of the factors in sufficient details. Now, if we want to study the solvent as a factor which will responsible for the process of hydrolysis, if we will go for using the non-aqueous vehicles, that will avoid the process of hydrolysis. Sometimes it is advisable to go for use of the co-solvents, which will increases the stability. They will increase the stability either by suppressing the ionization or by reducing the extreme of pH or by reducing the water activity. And this is the reason that why 20% propylene glycol that is added in chlorodiazepoxide hydrochloride injection as a co-solvent for above purposes. The next method is the complexation, micellization, and the solubilization. Particularly the process of complexation that will consist of the use of various complexing agents like EDTA and lipids. What these agents will do, they will shield the API and thus they will prevent the hydrolysis of the active pharmaceutical ingredient. The second is the micellization with the help of use of the surfactants. The surfactants, they will form the shield surround to that of the active ingredient, and thus the prevention of hydrolysis of the active ingredient that will occur. Solubilization either by co-solvent addition or by complexation or by micellization, we can go for solubilizing the agents. The location of drug in solubilization, the location of non-polar and polar compound in the micelles governs their level of protection by hydrolysis. The non-polar compounds which are solubilized deep. So the non-polar, these are better protected from the process of hydrolysis because they will get solubilized and they will enter deep into the micelles. Next is the effect of temperature and humidity. As the temperature that will goes on increasing, that will reduce the process of presence of moisture or water content. So as a result of which that will lead to the process of slowing down of the hydrolysis. So the high humidity that will trigger the process of hydrolytic degradation. The presence of humidity, the presence of moisture, thus that is responsible for degradation by the process of hydrolysis. Oxidation. Now what is the oxidation? The oxidation is the removal of hydrogen or addition of an oxygen atom, or simply the loss of electron, that is said to be the oxidation. You can see in case of oxidation process, the compound A that is oxidized and the compound B that is getting reduced. So you can see that there is a shift of hydrogen ion from compound A to compound B, as a result of which A will get hydrolyzed and the B that will get reduced. So it is the process in which what will happen, or how to define it: the removal of oxygen, that is said to be the hydrolysis, addition of an oxygen atom, that sorry, the removal of hydrogen, that is said to be the oxidation, and the addition of an oxygen atom, that is said to be the, yes, oxidation. Also it is consisting of the loss of electron. So this is the way by which it will happen. The process by which we can go for preventing the oxidation, that is with the help of addition of an agent. These agents are said to be the antioxidants. So what are the antioxidants? These are the agents which helps in the process of preventing oxidation process. Now the antioxidants, they are of two different type: type 1, type 2. Type 1 is said to be the water soluble, type 2 is said to be the oil soluble. Now, when we are talking about the water soluble, the examples are of sodium bisulfite, sulfite, metabisulfite, sodium formaldehyde, sulfoxylate, L and D ascorbic acid, that is the racemic, cysteine, acetyl cysteine, and the thioglycolic acid. Type 2 oil soluble antioxidants are propylene, propyl gallite, butylated hydroxyanyl sol, butylated hydroxytoluene, ascorbyl palmitate, nor-dihydroguaretic acid, and the alpha tocopherol. So these are the oil soluble antioxidants. The process of oxidation, that is accelerated, that is increased by the presence of the trace metals. So the oxidation problem is very common with vitamins and iron supplements. In that case, a little amount, as allowed by the regulatory bodies like say the FIP, that is the International Pharmaceutical Federation. The International Pharmaceutical Federation is added or extra into formulation to achieve the desired shelf life. This is called the overages. So what are the overages? Generally, in case of the vitamins and the iron supplement, a little amount is added extra to the formulation to achieve the desired shelf life. This is called as the overages, because these are the agents which are said to be the vitamins and the iron supplement. These are more prone to the process of oxidation. And the reason behind adding the overages is that some of the portion that will get oxidized. So if the product will get oxidized, it won't remain therapeutically active. So in order to get the desired therapeutic level, desired therapeutic action, there is a need to add somewhat in the excess amount. So the excess amount that will get hydrolyzed, whereas the required amount that will goes into the body, and that will be responsible for the process of giving the therapeutic effect. The FIP, that is the International Pharmaceutical Federation, defined overages as, now this is the definition. This is the definition which is found in the book. This is the definition which is to be studied verbatim. So the voluntary introduction of a specific excess, it is the voluntary introduction, right? It is not required one. It is not mandatory, but it is the voluntary introduction of a specific excess during the manufacture of pharmaceutical forms of medicaments that are unstable by nature and difficult to stabilize in order to maintain during their period of use an active content within the limits compatible with therapeutic requirement. Yes, this is what is I had explained. Now, in preventing the oxidation, we always use these suitable antioxidants. In order to prevent the oxidation, what we want the agent which are said to be the antioxidants. Also, the effect of antioxidant on other reactions, like say example, the most common antioxidant, that is the metabisulfite, which will catalyze the hydrolysis reactions. So as we saw the oxidation, it is the process in which the oxidation that will occur because of the losing the electron atom, and that will lead to the increase into the number of the oxidation. So in the same way, if you want to study the reduction, what the reduction is the gain of electrons. So the addition of hydrogen atom, that is said to be the reduction. The gain of electron, that is said to be the reduction. So in case of oxidation, you can see that the reductant material that will get oxidized, and it is responsible for producing the product along with the loss of electron. But in case of the reduction process, it is the oxidant agent which will receive the electron, and that will lead to the process of the product formation. So oxidation number that will goes on decreasing in case of the reduction. In case of oxidation, the oxidation number that will goes on increasing. And the example here is the alkane to the alkane. What is the effect of temperature onto the process of oxidation reduction? So the process that will subject to that of the degradation, when the temperature that will goes on increasing, or the degradation that will get increased as the temperature that will goes on increase. The rate of a chemical reaction increases by a factor of between 2 or 3-fold for every 10 degrees Celsius rise in temperature. The reaction rate that is directly proportional to the number of collisions per unit time, and the frequency of collisions increases with the increase of temperature. So as the temperature that will goes on increasing, that will lead to the increase into the collision, and as the collision that will get increased, it will subject to that of the reaction. As the collision will get increases, the reaction rate will get increases. As the reaction rate will get increases, the process of degradation that will be occurring at a faster rate. Now, this is the equation which is said to be the Arrhenius equation, and the researcher Arrhenius, he studied the effect of temperature on the reaction rate constant K and expressed their relationship. So the reaction rate constant capital K is equal to AE to the power minus EA divided by RT, where A, it is a constant which is termed as the frequency factor. So therefore the log K is equal to log A minus into bracket EA divided by 2.303 RT, that is the room temperature. So again, the equation that can be modified by taking the integration, integrating the above equation between limits K1 to K2 and T1 to T2, that is temperature, the following equation is obtained. So the equation is the log K2 divided by K1 equal to minus E2 into bracket T2 minus T1 divided by 2.303 R multiplied by T1 into T2. Now in this equation, the K1 and K2, these are the reaction rate constant at temperature T1 and T2. EA is the energy of activation, that is the calorie per mole, representing the minimum energy required by reacting molecule to undergo reaction. R is gas constant, 1.987, that is kilocalorie per molecular degree, and T is the absolute temperature, that is T degrees Celsius plus or minus 27. Now Arrhenius plot, you can see this is the plot against the log K versus 1 divided by T, and the slope which is obtained that will be given by the equation minus EA divided by 2.303 RT. Relative humidity. Now what is humidity? You might have observed that if you had visited to the coastal region, what you will going to find, there is a stickiness onto the skin surface. Now this stickiness is because of what, or sometime during case of the rainy seasons. If suppose if we keep open the biscuits or salt or sugar, it will get liquefied. Now this is because of what? This is because of the presence of the moisture, presence of humidity into the atmosphere. and it is the capture of this humidity. So that will lead to the process of affecting the state, affecting the properties, and affecting the form, subjecting it to the process of hydrolysis or oxidation or reduction. Now, water vapor that will carrying capacity of air is called the humidity. What the humidity is, how we will define the humidity? The water vapor that will carrying the capacity of an air is called the humidity. When a piece of air of certain temperature and pressure is saturated with water vapors, then the humidity of that air is called saturation humidity, or it is the 100% humidity. So in order to get the 100% humidity, what we need to do? A piece of paper of certain temperature and pressure that should be saturated with the water vapor. The case is that it is saturated one. Now then the humidity of that particular air is called to be the saturation humidity, or say the 100% humidity. Or in comparison to this, the humidity is expressed in percentage relative humidity. It is always expressed as the percent relative humidity. Now, what is the relative humidity? At a particular temperature and pressure, air can carry a certain amount of water vapor only. After that, the vapor gets condensed, and this is called dew point. Right? We can see early in the morning that the dew that is going to be accumulated onto the cold surfaces, onto the glass, onto the metal surfaces early in the morning into the winter season. So there is the dew, and this is because of the relative humidity. The difference of partial vapor pressure of the surface and the free vapor pressure of environment is the driving force for the relative humidity. Higher the relative humidity, higher will be the water absorption onto the drugs or the excipients. The drug in crystal form may be damp if exposed to higher relative humidity environment. Relative humidity, the ICH guidelines on stability gives the specific range of relative humidity along with temperature for performing the stability studies. Photolysis. The exposure of sunlight causes photodegradation. For example, indomethacin, amphotericin B, riboflavin, tetracycline, etc. Out of the natural sunlight, EMR, electromagnetic radiations, the range is in 280 to 790 nanometer. The UV range is 280 to 320 nanometer, is the one which causes the photodegradation. So the photolysis, or the breakdown of the product, or the lysis of the product in presence of the light, that is said to be the photolysis. And these are the agents which are more prone to the process of photolysis. What these are? These are the indomethacin, amphotericin B, riboflavin, and the tetracycline. And it is because of what? It is because of the UV rays. What is the range of UV range? It is in the range of 280 to 320 nanometer. The photons are absorbed at a particular wavelength by molecules, and then depending on the nature of drug, it may cause degradation. So this is because of what? This is because of the photons, and the photons are absorbed at a particular wavelength by the molecules, and then depending on the nature of drug, it may cause either degradation or emission of heat or emission of energy or emission of light at a new wavelength. And this new wavelength that is said to be either fluorescence or it is the phosphorescence. So that is the photolysis. Now, in order to avoid the process of photolysis, what we need to do, what the steps should be taken, the proper packaging. Packaging, that is most important one. Or sometime we need to carry out a work into the dark place, or cover the apparatus by dark paper, or sometime by using the films. In case of pharmaceuticals, we are going for using generally we go for use of the amber colored glass bottles in order to prevent the degradation of the active constituent because of the light, because the amber color that is not permitting the entry of the UV rays which will contain the photons. Cardboard outers. The cardboard outers again that will prevent, that will protect the active constituent. The aluminum foil over wraps. Yes, these two, the blasters. So all these are the methods by which we can prevent the process of the hydrolysis. We can go for avoiding the photolysis. Sorry, it is the photolysis. The use of amber glass bottle, cardboard outers, aluminum foil over wraps, and the blasters. Now, in this, what particularly we saw the process of hydrolysis, we saw the process of oxidation, we saw the process of reduction in case of the chemical reaction. In case of the physical reaction or the physical properties, we saw crystal size amorphous, size reduction, size separation, particle size, particle shape, solubility, pH, pKa, dissociation constant, ionization, then polymorphism. So all these are the physical properties. In case of chemical properties, what we saw the process of oxidation, reduction, and the hydrolysis along with the photolysis. We had also studied the property which is said to be the partition coefficient. Now we have to go for the next property, which is again will fall under the chemical properties, and these are the isomerization, stereoisomerism, and the racemization. Now this particularly we have to study in respect of the concept, importance, and the applications of isomerization, stereoisomerization, and the racemization in the pre-formulation on formulation and the development. So our lesson plan that will be the study of stereochemistry and isomerism. We have to understand what is racemization, what is chirality, or you may pronounce it as a chirality, whatever it will be. The basic concept of it, then example and the applications. Now in this figure you can see that there is a stereochemistry and the isomerism. The chemicals, they will exist into the three-dimensional form, which is said to be the three-dimensional structures. The bonding type of bonding, the plane of bonding, etc., that may be changing in case of the chemicals. And this change into the bonding, this change into the plane, this change into the pattern of structure that will lead to the changes and alterations into the therapeutic properties. So we are having the example of starch and cellulose. Here there is a cellulose, here there is a starch. Now in case of cellulose, you can see there are two equatorial bonds. One is onto the left side, another is onto the right side. One is axial and one is equatorial in case of the starch. These are the equatorial, which are horizontal, and the vertical one that is said to be the axial one. So this is the cellulose structure and this is the starch structure. Here two equatorial bonds are there, 1, 2. Here one axial and the one equatorial bond is there. Here is the one, here is the one. Now isomerization is what? Isomerization, it is the process in which the different compounds, they will possess the same molecular formula. Now the isomers, they are of two different types, that is the constitutional isomers and the stereoisomers. The constitutional isomers, these are the isomers having atoms bonded to different atoms. And in case of the stereoisomers, the isomers with a difference in 3D arrangement only. And based on the arrangement, the stereoisomers, these are of enantiomers and the diastereomers. Now, when there is a presence of mirror images of each other, like say for example, if we will hold our hands, the palms of our hand, just hold it in front of you and then close your palms like we used to do the namaskar. So here you can see that these two palms, these are facing with each other. These are the mirror images of each other. And the diastereomer, it is the one which do not possess the mirror images. Now let's say, for example, if we are opening our folded hand and if we are placing these hands one above onto the another in such a way that the left hand that will remain at the bottom facing the palm to the upward side or toward your face, placing the right hand onto the left hand and the palm that is facing toward your face. So that means the palm of both the hands that is facing toward your face. Now in this case, what you will see on both the sides, you can have the thumb, right? So although these are similar one, but the mirror images are not superimposable with each other. So that means so that is the mirror images and they will be having the superimposability. The mirror image may or may not be superimposable. The enantiomers, they will possess the non-superimposable mirror images and all the chiral items, these are the enantiomers. Whereas diastereomers, these are the stereoisomers which are not mirror images. They may be or they may not be the chiral one. Now again here the Dr. Ajay Semalti is going to be explaining the same which I told you just now. Right hand, left hand, you have to hold it and you have to see that when you will going to close your hands like in a namaskar position, they will going to coincides, they will going to clearly matches with each other. So that is said to be the superimposable. But onto the right hand side here, if you see, as I told you that you have to place your hands in such a way that the palm that is facing toward your side, toward your face, so that you will going to find that these the thumb that will remain onto the both the sides. So chirality, that is the mirror images, but these are not superimposable one. So again, this is the depiction of the same. Now next is the racemization, and this property, that is the mirror image and the non-mirror image, that is responsible for the process of the therapeutic activity in case of the pharmaceutical compounds. The next property, that is the racemization. Now, if we want to define the process of racemization, the racemization is a process that occurs when a compound undergoes a reaction in which the transformation produces an equal mixture of both possible enantiomers. When two compounds are classified as enantiomers of one another, it means they are non-superimposable mirror images. The conversion of an optically active substance into an optically inactive mixture of equal amounts of the dextrorotatory and the levorotatory. Now, what is this optical rotation and all? Let us say, for example, if we are passing the plane of polarized light to the chiral compound samples, the chiral compounds, they will contain the 4 different groups attached to it. Now, when the plane of polarized light is passed, it rotates the plane of polarized light. Now, such compounds are said to be the chiral one, such compounds are said to be the racemic one. So, the chirality that is exists in its nature. Let's say, for example, the axis plane shape wise chirality that may be there in the nature. So in case of the compounds such as proteins, carbohydrates, and the nucleic acids, the chirality is observed. Examples of the proteins are concerned, it is the myoglobin, enzymes, structural elements of the membranes, and the receptors. The chiral building blocks of L-amino acid and the D carbohydrates. Isomers. What are the isomers? These are the compounds, right? You can see the example, that is the 3,4-MDA, which is said to be the ecstasy, and there is a phenacetin which is said to be the analgesic. Now 3,4-methylene dioxyamphetamine, this is the ecstasy, and these two are the isomers. Meperidine again, these are the isomers, that is the meperidine analgesic, and another form that is said to be the non-analgesic. Here also you can see there is a stereoisomer, so which do not have the superimposable mirror with each other. The example is the cisplatin and the transplatin. So cisplatin, that is responsible for the anti-cancer activity, transplatin that is not responsible for the anti-cancer activity. So again, the example and the intention is that all these compounds and their specific arrangement, superimposability, mirror images, all these are responsible for the process of therapeutic significance. Here is the vitamin A, all E double bonds and no SAD. Enantiomers, these are the optical isomers. They will differ in interaction with plane polarized light. The two optical isomers, they will show the almost the same properties. The properties in terms of the solubility, melting point, boiling point, color, and the chemical reactivity with achiral molecules. They will differ in chemical reactivity with another chiral reactants. The effect, the drug receptor interactions that will occur, and these are highly stereo-specific. The stereoselectivity often leads to complete change in stereoselectivity. Then ADME, that is the absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion, pharmacokinetic properties, toxicity properties, and the potency. So the targeted compound that should be studied in terms of all these are concerned: selectivity, ADME, PK, potency, and the toxicity. Now here some of the examples stereoselectively that are available into the history. You can see in 1886 the 50 they had given the example of asparagine and the existence of this as a enantiomer. So asparagine, it has a sweet taste, while the natural enantiomer, that is insipid. The positive form, that is the sweet in taste. The negative or the enantiomer, that is the insipid. The Pasteur they had given in 1886, this difference due to the presence of an optically active substance in the nervous mechanism of the test. Another example is of the hyoscyamin that is existing into the racemic and the enantiomer form. Hyoscyamin that will almost exactly twice as active as that of the atropine. So it was observed in case of the 1904. The adrenaline, that is twice having the potency of the plus minus adrenaline as a vasoconstrictor. Now, difference in taste and odor, if you see the enantiomers like the asparagine, leucine, and the taste is the D form, that is sweet in taste, L form, that is tasteless, the D form, that is sweet, the L form, that is bitter one. And the difference of odor, that is due to the chirality. And these are the examples. Here you can see the classical example of the thalidomide disaster. This is the structure which is shown onto this slide for the thalidomide. The thalidomide was found to cause the teratogenic effect, that is the phocomelia, that is the underdevelopment of the limbs, improper development of the limbs, which is found in case of the fetus because of the thalidomide. There is an interesting story behind the thalidomide. Earlier, this compound was given in case of the as a tranquilizer, but because of its effect, it is going to be used as a agent of choice in case of treatment of the motion sickness in pregnant women. So particularly the compound was blockbuster drug at that time, which had broken all the records of sale in 1958 or 1960. So particularly the some of the physicians, they had used this particular compound instead of as a tranquilizer, but they had used this